Yeah. So we had done the 17th chapter, and that has come to an end, and we are now going to make an entry into the 18th chapter. And this 18th chapter is the summary. It's kind of the last chapter. We are coming to an end of it. And so let's sort of start this interesting chapter where Bhagavan sort of is going to tell us about three types. The way he mentioned about three types of yajna and tapas and dana and Shraddha, all that he discussed in chapter 17. Now he's going to even categorize, even sannyasa is of three types. So let's look at how Sankaracharya sort of starts this chapter. This is very important. It's a long chapter. Bhagavan repeats a few things and he sort of leads us towards a conclusion and encourages us to take our own decision as to how we need to move forward in life, having heard his long discourses and lectures in Bhagavad Gita. सर्वस्य एव गीताशास्त्रस्य अर्थः अस्मिन् अध्याये उपसंहृत्य सर्वः च वेदार्थो वक्तव्य इति एवं अर्थः अयम् अध्याय आरभ्यते. So he's kind of going to summarize everything. Sarvasya eva Gita Sastrasya, the whole Gita thing and whatever is mentioned here. Asmina Adhyaya, in this Adhyaya, Upasangritya, by concluding that Sarvacha Vedartho, and whatever is supposed to be conveyed, the meaning of the Vedas, the intended things, the messages that we're supposed to receive, Vaktavya iti evam arthaha, and that is what is intended to be said here, Ayam Adhyaya Arabhyate. This is the purpose. Now, to set the, to sort of set out a new discourse, the Bhagavad Gita starts with a question by Arjuna, because he has to set the tone for the next set of advices by Bhagavan. Sarveshu hi atitesu adhyayesu uktah artha asmin adhyaye avagamyate. So if you read this chapter, many of the things which are shared with us in the earlier chapters would be kind of repeated, summarized, emphasized, depending on the requirement. Because this is for our benefit and Arjuna is our representative and the war is actually our life and Bhagavan is giving us certain final tips, the takeaway points. Arjuna to sannyasa Tyaga Savdarthayoho eva Vishesam Bhuvutsuhu Uvacha. However, Arjuna, when Bhagavan was about, it is expected that he will summarize the whole Bhagavad Gita in the 18th chapter. The student has a few remaining doubts. He has heard about three types of what? Three types of Shraddha, three types of Yajna, three types of Dana, three types of Tapas, and now an Ahara. And now Bhagavan is going to tell him about three types of renunciation. It's a tricky question. And Arjuna Uvacha, it starts. Sanyasasya mahavaho tattvam ichhami veditum tyagasya cha hrishikesha prithakesi nisudana. So I also want to know Sanyasasya mahavaho. Hey Mahavahu, oh Lord, you have powerful hands. And there's a meaning as to why this is mentioned here. Tattvam ichhami veditum. I want to know those secrets. I want to know that thing, that tattva. What is that about? I want to know the truth. What is that about? It's not about Atman. He has heard enough about it. He has a few simple doubts he wants to clarify with Bhagavan. And that's about renunciation. Bhagavan has already explained to him about, Shraddha, trust, faith. He has told him about the yajnas and tapas and dana and ahara and everything. Now he's intending to know Yagasya cha he Hrishikesha cha Hrishikesha. Prithak, tell me, what are the different types? He Kesi Nusudana. Kesi was one of those demons whom Lord Krishna had to kill. And he was a very tricky guy. This demon had the face of a horse and he lengthened his face to sort of get hold of Lord Krishna. And Krishna used one of his hands to get hold of this demon, his long face, and then he hit him and killed him. So he is also addressed as Mahavahu. Okay, we'll go into the details, but before you go, I just want to mention. Now, just think about it. There is a certain tree in a jungle. You can have a chair out of it because it contains wood. You can make furniture out of it. But can you sit on that particular tree, a piece of wood or that log of wood, as a chair? No. By itself, it has the potential to be made into a chair. But right now, it's not useful enough to be used as chair. So there is a general potential. A bright student, he has general potential, but you will hire him in your department. If you're a civil engineer, you will look for his qualification in civil engineering. He may have been the brightest in class 9th or 10th or 12th. You're looking about two kinds of eligibilities here, which is context specific, the other one is general. When you have a general eligibility in Sanskrit, it's called Swarupa Yogyata. By itself, by its very Swarupa, it's eligible to be made use of in a certain way. Then it has specific context specific eligibility, and that is called Phala Upadhyayaka Yogyata. Phala Upadhyayaka, it can give you that necessary result, and it has attained that eligibility, which could be, he has a BTech in civil engineering, and then he has done an MTech in structural engineering or designing or something like that. And you're very happy to hire him for your purpose because you want to do some great construction work. There are the two kinds of eligibilities, and Arjuna is addressing Bhagavan, hinting at both the aspects of the Lord. One is Swarupa Yogyata, Mahavahu, very powerful, you can do anything. Why is he addressing him as a Mahavahu? Madhusudana Saraswati is explaining it. He's saying, "Oh Lord, destroy my ignorance. You're very powerful. Why can't you destroy my ignorance, my weaknesses?" Then Bhagavan might say, "But I don't know your specific weaknesses. How can I destroy them?" He's addressing with Kesi Nisudana. You have killed a person with very peculiar problems. Long face who wanted to attack you, you could kill him. Why can't you also destroy my specific ignorance as it appears because of my papas and everything? He wants to pass over. It's like a boy is trying to do some maths and he cannot resolve it. He hands it over to his mother saying, "Mama, you do this problem for me. This homework is, it's like a pain in the neck. I can't handle it anymore. Can you just do it for me?" Same way the Bhakta is pleading before the Lord. "Oh Lord, can't you remove my ignorance?" He's addressing my Keshi Nishudana. Right? So let's very quickly, and then he's asking two questions. Tell me the types of, I want to know the tattva of sannyasa. I want to know about the signs of sannyasa. That's first question. Second, how many types of tyaga is there? How many types of renunciation? Sannyasa and tyaga are two different things here. Tyaga sabdasya iti etad hrishikesa prathak iteretara vibhagatah kesi nisudana. That is he was asking. Sannyasasya sannyasa sabdarthasya iti etad he mahavaho tattvam. Tell me about the tattva of sannyasa. Tasya bhavaha tattvam. That sannyasa thing. I want to know about sannyasatva. What is the signs of sannyasa? Yathatmyam, the way it is. Yathatmya means that this particular swarupa that the sannyasa has. Tell me as it is. Iti etad ichhami veditum. I want to know. Yatum tyagasya cha. And additional another question. Tyaga savdarthasya. That word tyaga. What is the meaning of it? Iti etad hrishikesa prathak iteretara vibhagatah. Clarify to me what is the difference between tyaga and sannyasa. Tell me also about the signs of sannyasa. Kesi nama Hayachadma Asuraha. He had sort of disguised himself as a big horse. He's a demon. He appeared as a horse. Haya is a horse. Tam Nisudana Nisuditavan. You killed him. Bhagavan Vasudeva Tena Tana Namna. So that is why you are referred to as Kesi Nisudana Sambodhyate Arjunena. Okay. That is the first question that he has asked, and we'll go to the Madhusudana Saraswati, and there is a bit of tricky issues that he will lead. He's a little scholastic. We have to bear with it because we are reading Madhusudana Saraswati. Sometimes it could be a little top heavy, okay? Because he's a scholar. We have to sort of deal with whatever he says and observe the best parts of it. Some of it is a little academic, maybe not for all of us, but this is a great text to undertake and make sense of, and whosoever may be interested in future, we're just discussing that. Purvadhyaye Shraddha Traividhyena Ahara Zagya, Tapo, Dana, Traividhyena cha. So he has classified Shraddha Traya. And what are the people? These are karmis. They are not talking about sannyasis or those who are Vidvat sannyasis or Vividisa sannyasis. He's talking about karmis who are in samsara. So karminam traividyam uktam. So what has he categorized into three types? People who are living in samsara, grihasthas and karmis, karma yogis. Some of them are asura, some of them are sattvika, some of them are rajasika, and he sort of clarified them in tamasika. Satvikanam adanaya, and he mentioned about the sattvika types. Why? We should emulate that. Try to bring that in our lives. Rajasa tamasanam chahanaya, and avoid the typology mentioned about people who are rajasic, always looking for returns. And tamasic, for no return, all stupidity, too much of ego, self obsession. Remove them from your consciousness. Idanim too, and now. Sannyasa Traividya Gathanena, by talking about three types of sannyasas or renunciation. Sannyasinam api Traividyam Vaktavyam. So obviously it appears that he's trying to categorize the sannyasis into three types. Tatra Tattvabodha Anantaram Yaha Falabhutaha Sarvakarma Sannyasaha Sa Chaturdosa Adhyaye Gunatidatvena Vyakhyatatvad Na Sattvika Rajasa Tamasa Bhedam Arhati. Now, we have already mentioned about sannyasa. Even in the 14th chapter, Bhagavan says, try to be gunatita. In the Chaturdasa Adhyaya, he's mentioned that. Even later on, he has mentioned, and he will deal with it. So, he has mentioned that in Choda, he just mentioned that what is the real sannyasis? They are beyond these three gunas, sattva, tamas, and rajas, because they are immersed in their atmajnana. They are beyond these gunas. There is no vikara in them because they are established in that paramount supreme truth, Satchidananda Swarupa, which is beyond these gunas. Gunas are the game of Maya or Prakriti. And when you identify with them, you are suffering at a lower level of existence. But the Jnanis, supersedes, goes beyond them. They cannot touch him, they cannot trouble him. Tatra Tattvabodha Anantaram. Once you have Tattvabodha means Atma Bodha means Atma Jnana, Tattvabodha, self realization. Anantaram, after this, Yaha Falabhuta Sarvakarma Sannyasa, Gyan ho gaya. Then he is not going to be around at home or this and that. He becomes a Sarvakarma Sannyasi, not interested in his job or house or wife or children or anything. Sa Chaturdase Adhyay, and this has been discussed in the 14th chapter, Gunatidatvena, as a person who has gone beyond the three gunas. Vyakhyatatvāt, this has been already explained, and therefore, na satvika rajasa tamasa bhedam arhati. So we cannot divide that kind of a guy who has become gunatita, who is an atmajnani, into either of these three types. He is not part of this nomenclature. Okay? Yo api, and the one. Tattvabodhat praktad artham sarvakarma sannyasah tattvabussaya Vedanta Vakya Vicharaya Bhavati Sopi Traigunya Visaya Veda Nistirgunyo Bhavarjuna Ityadina. The verse number 2.45. Nirgunatvena Vakhyataha. Bhagavan is telling Arjuna, do you know this game of these gunas? You will do Nishkama Karma, this karma and that karma. It's all good. But you have to go beyond the gunas. You start with the karmas. You try to be sattvika, do antakarna shuddhi, but then what is your end result? That's not where you want to end your life. You want to go beyond this. You live your life, have your family life, do your karmas, but do it without phalabhisandhi, without craving for results. That will purify your antakarna, your internal consciousness. When your internal consciousness is clarified, purified, you feel lighter, you have a desire, there is vairagya in you, you will go do Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. And by listening and understanding the Upanishadic statements and the meaning there, you will try to remove any doubts about that the samsara is apparent, not real, that the only real thing is the self, All these pictures I'm seeing in the dream, it's like a dream like reality, and you enter deeper into yourself. Now, when you are taking that sannyasa, you have already vairagya, antakarana suddhi has happened, but atmajnana hasn't happened. And therefore you are ready and you are just going. The first case is Bidvat Sannyasa. You have already understood life is a joke and you're walking away. You don't have to have Bidhivat Sannyasa. You'll take some rules, regulations, somebody initiates. No. You can just be in your clothes. You can be in white and still you are a great sannyasi. Ramana Maharshi did not take any formal sannyasa. Nisarga, not the, of Maharashtra, he also did not take any sannyasa in the formal sense of the term. Ramakrishna Paramahansa didn't have formal sannyasa. They were wearing white clothes till the very end of their lives. But they were great sannyasis. They were vidvas sannyasis. First self realization and lived like sannyasis. They did not have to break coconuts or smear ashes in their face or go to Ganges and take a dip 100 times or something. None of these. They didn't care for about these things. The second category of people who have done some antakarana suddhi and they have vairagya, they also walk away from life, but not with atmajnana, but with a desire to have atmajnana. That is called vividisa sannyasa. The desire to know is the reason for the sannyasa, because at home you have children, you have relatives, you have financial and other matters to be attended to, and you don't have enough elbow room to focus on the paramount, whatever is of paramount interest to you, importance to you, which is jnana, and therefore you walk away to find more time. That's where you're going. So you are a vividisa sannyasi. Even in their case, Bhagavan says, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistargunyo Bhavarjuna. Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna. Because he says this, he's also kind of nirguna aspect is added to that vividisa sannyasa. Aspirational sannyasi. He's not a jnani, but he has an aspiration for self-awareness, self-knowledge. Yastu anutparna tattva तत्वबोधानाम अनुत्पन्न तत्वबुभुत्सानाम च कर्म संन्यासः स संन्यासी च योगी च इत्यादिना गौण वाक्यातस्य तस्य वाक्यातः तस्य त्रैविध्य संभावात् तद विशेषम बुभुत्सुः. Now he is bringing in another thing. So first he removed two categories of people who are vidvat sannyasis. They have self-knowledge already. They throw away their clothes. They may not wear any saffron clothes, as I mentioned, like Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Ramana Maharshi, or there are many other people. They are sannyasis already. They have no interest in anything around them. And the second category are aspirational sannyasis who want to know. They don't have enough opportunity at home because of the responsibilities and distractions. They walk away. These are vividisa sannyasis. Both of them, the text says, are kind of oriented towards nirguna thing. The three gunas are not going to work on them. The second category, they will work, but then they have a strong desire to move towards Atmajnana, and the destination is going beyond the three gunas. Therefore, it's not fair on our part to try to categorize them. This is Tamasika Sannyasi, this is Rajasika Sannyasi, and this is Sattvika Sannyasi. Their goal is to be one beyond these three gunas. That's clear. Then who is this categorization about? Why is the question about? Tell me about the sannyasa tattva, three types of sannyasa. It is directed as go. It's like when you refer to a young boy. Ye bahadur hai. He's the general in our house. He's not a general. He's a 3-year-old boy, just a little brave. You refer to him as, "Oh, general, where are you going?" He's super happy and behaves and salutes you and behaves like a general. This is called Gauna Vritya Sambodhana or Singha Manavakaha. This boy is like a lion. He's not a lion, he's just a human being. You see, this is Gauna Vritya. This is not Mukhya Vritya. It's not the right way you are saying. This is Gauna Vritya. Similarly, there was a lot of references to Sayogi Cha. Right? There was this reference. Sa sannyasi cha yogi cha. So he's a jnani and he's a yogi, he's a sannyasi, nitya sannyasi, he's in samsara doing everything, but he doesn't have any attachment to anything. These categorizations are about those category of people, not the real Vidvat or Vividisa sannyasis. That much is clear. King Sannyasa Tyaga Savadau, and then he sort of is clarifying because he asked Sannyasasya Mahavaho Tattvam Ichhami Veditum Tyagasya Hrishikesha Prathak Kesi Nisudana. Tell me what is Tyaga. Is it same as sannyasa or different? And tell me about the science of sannyasa. King Sannyasa Tyaga Sabdo. There's two words. One is sannyasa, one is Tyaga. घटपटादि शब्दौ इव भिन्न जातीय अर्थौ किंवा ब्राह्मण परिव्राजक शब्दा इव एक जातीय अर्थौ. Now there's two alternatives here. Ghatapata, one is a piece of cloth, the other one is a jar or a pot. They belong to different classes of things. It has ghatatva jati visishta is ghata. It has that class of ghatatva, potness, defines a pot. Clothness defines a piece of cloth. The ghata and a pata belong to different classes of things. They're two different things. Do you think sannyasa and tyaga are like that, two different classes of things? Or brahmana parivrajaka, in good old days, only Brahmins were taking sannyasa. So when you say you are having a particular festival in which maybe you want to give some dakshinas or anything, because a lot of people do that. You have made a certain promise that I'm going to feed some poor Brahmins. Okay? Now, 3 parivrajaka, so sannyasis come. In those good old days, sannyasis were generally Brahmins who had left everything. So, do you have to count 3 more Brahmins? No, the parivrajaka, the moment parivrajaka is coming, 1 Brahmin, 3 Brahmins have come. It's included. It's a paryavasya sabda. A parivrajaka is a Brahmin who has thrown away his sikha and his sutra, means the thread, and he has become a mendicant. And therefore, every mendicant is also a Brahmin. So you had decided to give food to 8 Brahmins. So if you found 3 sannyasis and 5 Brahmins, good enough. These are paryavasis. Is it sannyasa and tyaga like that? He's asking this question. Yadi then, yadi adi tari adyastari tyagasya sattvam sannyasad pruthag veditum ichhami. If it is same that ghata and pata are 2 different, similarly sannyasa and tyaga belong to 2 different classes of things, explain to me what is sannyasa and what is tyaga separately. Yadi dityaha, if it's actually paryavachi, the tyaga is a form of sannyasa or sannyasa is a form of tyaga, then tari avantara upadhi bheda matra vaktavyam. Then you tell me what is the intermediate difference between 2 types of renunciation. Ekavakyanena eva ubhayam vakhyatam bhavishyati. Then you explain to me one, then I can understand the other one as well. Mahavaho. Now he's explaining why was he addressed as Mahavaho, which I've already mentioned to you. Mahavaho kesi nisudana iti sambodhana bhyam. These 2 ways of addressing Bhagavan as Mahavaho and kesi nisudana. Right? Bahyo upadrava. So there was a person who was doing a lot of difficulties. Upadrava nivarana swarupa yogyata phalopadhane pradarshite hrishikesha iti antar upadrava nivarana samarthyam iti vedaha. Okay. It's a beautiful way he's trying to interpret. As I told you that there are 2 kinds of eligibility. One is general, the other one is context specific. The general one is like, for example, there is a log of wood, you can make anything out of it. So in the tree, there is swarupa yogyata of making a furniture or a cricket bat or anything. But you can't play cricket with a raw tree. You have to cut it, you have to dry it, and then you season it, you make a cricket bat, or you make a furniture. Then it will last longer. So when you have a log of wood, it has been cut properly, it has been seasoned, it has phala upadhayaka yogyata, context-specific eligibility, as like a bright student who clears general GRE with high marks, that's swarupa yogyata. Then he has at GRE very high scores, he has phala upadhayaka yogyata. He will be given preference in admissions. Now Bhagavan is this Mahavahu and Kesi Nusudana The Kesi is what? There was this guy who disguised himself as a horse and tried attacking, and Bhagwan got hold of him and killed him. His ability to get hold of this wild animal was fierce. Actually, a certain disguise taken assumed by the demon. Bhagwan has tremendous power in his hands. So he's Mahavaho. What is it referring to? He's saying external obstructions. End of the day, Arjuna is addressing him as Mahavahu and Kesi Nisudana. Why? He wants Bhagavan to help him remove his weaknesses and ignorance. All of us need that sort of help from the divine. We feel very helpless at most of the times, especially in critical junctures of our life. We need a bit of divine grace and help. We pray. He's praying. He's saying, "Oh Lord, you have such powerful arms. Can't you protect me from what? From the external in the internal things." And then he says, Rishikesha. So Mahavahu is what? Swarupa Yogyata. In general, he's powerful. Kesi Nisudana, specific power. He could kill this guy who's in disguise. Just imagine. So you please also look at my specific weaknesses and deal with them. And then he addresses them as Rishikesha. Rishikesha is guy who is the king of the Indriyas, the senses. So he also wants the help of God to control his mind, his senses, because that's all yoga is all about. We need protection from external obstructions and obstacles in our sadhana path. Now we need to fight against enemies which are within, which are senses, our desires, our minds, different kinds of thoughts, inclinations, weaknesses. So he's addressing Bhagavan as Rishikesha. Iti antar upadrava nivarana samarthyam. Internal disturbances which are created by the sanskaras and weaknesses, Bhagavan can help him remove. Ati anuraga sambodhana trayam. He's so dear to the Lord. Lord has shown him his Vishwarupa, which he hasn't ever displayed or disclosed to even the greatest of the monks and sannyasis. Arjuna is a great, pure guy. He has great vairagya. He's a great, powerful person, but he's very humble. He could just start fighting. He seeks advice. He has great ethical considerations. He doesn't want to kill his relatives and elders. He's a good guy with a lot of power. He's not one of those idiots, and therefore Bhagavan loves him. He's not a weak guy who is crying. He's a powerful guy who is seeking advice. There's a big difference. Therefore, Bhagavan loves him, and he also takes liberties with Bhagavan, and he, out of love and respect, is addressing him as Mahavahu, Kesi Nisudana, and Rishikesha, because he has special needs to remove a few remaining confusions and weaknesses in him. And he's right in the middle of the warfield. And that warfield, as I said, kind of symbolizes the lives that all of us lead in some way or the other. And a lot of people, as I was telling you, some Western intellectuals of late have been trying to say this is a text which promotes violence. I mean, one has to be really, really a little dull minded to say that. Just think about it. If you want to provoke a person to go and fight a war, would you talk to him about a lot of philosophy, or you will egg him on saying, go kill him? Don't waste your time. The manipulation that is required to send somebody to war to cause bloodshed is different. You have to tease him, chide him, right? Entice him, motivate him to be violent. But Bhagavan, how many times? Of course, he said you must fight. And after that, what does he do? He's talking about jnana and yoga and meditation. Is he trying to egg him on for violence? No. That war is symbolic of a situation that all of us pass through in our lives. And that is the purpose of it. And that's why he's absolutely not provoking violence, even though some people may be very interested to show that as so and so. So be it, that's their interest. There are people who are interested in substance and people who are interested in writing things which is very dear to them. Atra Arjunasya dvau prashnau. There are two questions Arjuna has. Karma adhikari kartikatvena purvokto jagyadi sardhamyena sannyasa sabda pratipadyatvena cha gunatita sannyasa द्वय साधर्म्येण त्रैगुण्य संभवा असंभवाभ्याम संशय प्रथमस्य प्रश्नस्य बीजम. There is this doubt. Bhagavan has asked him to be Nistrigunya Bhavo Arjuna. So there will be no division. There will be no possibility of any nomenclatural division of sannyas into three types. But other things, because there's a kartutva, he's a karmatikari. Bhagavan has said, you are a karma yogi, do it. He needs to understand. Because in chapter 4 and 5, there was a lot of discussion in Sarva Karma Sannyas in 5, Karma and Sannyas in 4. So there is a lot of discussion. He wants to verify, he wants to clarify the remaining doubts he has. So one can divide sannyasa into types, create a typology, or one may not. And therefore, he has a bit of doubt and he's asking this. Dityasya tu sannyasa tyaga sabdayoho. Second doubt is about the tyaga. What is the meaning of it? Tyaga, and what is the difference between sannyasa and tyaga? Paryayatwada karma phala tyaga rupena cha vailakshana uktehe sansayo vijam. Because it's kind of confusing whether tyaga means sannyasa or sannyasa tyaga. There's a bit of nomenclatural issue. So whether it's karma phala tyaga is also sannyasi, I said it earlier, right? He's a nitya sannyasi. So what is he trying to say? He's a little curious. He wants to clarify it. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Bhagavan is answering. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavayo viduhu sarva karma phala tyagam prahus tyagam vichakshanaha. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam, renouncing, dumping, refuting, forgetting, leaving behind the kamya karmas. What are the kamya karmas? Karmas are four types. We have done that. We have discussed that earlier. One is the nitya karmas, which we will do. There are no necessarily immediate results thereof. If we don't do it, we'll be punished. It's like going to official on time. If you go on time, you don't get any immediate promotion. But if you don't go, when you have those annual appraisals, the HR team and your managers and all might use it to punish you or prevent you from getting a higher increment. So there's punishment for not going on time, no immediate reward for going on time. Karmanam nyasam. So if you have kamyanam, removing from your agenda the list of things, this kamya karmas. What are the kamya karmas? One is nitya, then you have naimitika karmas for specific occasions like Shraddha karmas, or there is a Surya Paraga. There is a certain nimitta you want to remove. There is some problem in your horoscope, you want to do a naimitika karma. So you want to remove some negative outcomes. And then finally you have kamya karma and prayashchita karma. Prayashchita karma is penitential fast. Like you say, okay, I have done a lot of wrongs. I want to now go become a sannyasi. But what somebody says, oh, your wife smiles and tells you, oh, really, you're going to take a sannyasi? What about all the shouting you have done at me? I'm not very happy about you. I'll curse you. You'll not be able to meditate. Just imagine, I'm just making a joke. You had it. If a girl curses you, the Shastra says there's no place to hide. So one has to be very careful about, especially the gurus and the women, because their curses are very powerful. Bhagavan has also said, I can't help you. If you have hurt a woman and she's going to curse you, there's no way to hide. So you do prayashchita karmas. So here he's saying, kamya karma tyaga is sannyasa, kavayaha. Kavi here is not a poet, but someone who is wise and well-read. Sarva karma phalatyagam prahus tyagam vichakhyanaha. Vichakhyana, the wise guys, very sharp, smart ones, very well-read, learned people, men of letters or women of letters. They have said that sarva karma phalatyaga, not having any phalavisandhi, dumping the desire for any results in all karmas. Sarva karma phalatyaga. Prahus tyagam vichakhyana. That is what is called tyaga. It's a very loaded sentence, and he's going to unravel the meaning of it. Let's look at the the analysis of these things in the. We have time to finish this, and let's start with Sankara Bhashya because he's simpler, and Madhusudana Saraswati makes it a little super heavy. Tatra tatra nirdishto sannyasa tyaga sabda, sannyasa and tyaga sabda, whatever is mentioned, na nilunditartho purveshu adhyayashu yatah arjunaya prishtavate tannirnayaya, because this has not been discussed in detail in the previous chapters, and therefore in this chapter Bhagavan is answering that. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavayo viduhu sarva karma phalatyagam prahus tyagam vichakshanaha. Kamyanam, now he's going one by one. That is great Sankaracharya. He's simple, straightforward, a pure hearted man. He just wrote all this before he was 16. Kamyanam, what is this? Aswamedhadinam, like Aswamedha Yakya. It could be having a house and a car or anything, but here in a ritual context, we're talking about certain Vedic rituals. Now, nobody has done Aswamedha Yakya, people say, for last 300, 400, 500 years. This last one was done somewhere in Kerala or something, I've read, some part of India, almost a century back. Karmanam nyasam means parityagam, sannyasam. Sannyasa sabdartham, that is the meaning of these words. Anushteyattvena praptasya ananushtanam. What is sannyasa? Beautifully says. Anushteyattvena praptasya is prescribed in the text, in the spiritual text. So it is prapta, it's a do, I mean it's a prescription. And then you're doing ananusthana, you shall not observe it. That is what is called sannyasa. Kavayaha, who are these panditaha, well-read people. Kechid viduhu vijananti. So it's known, some people have said this. Nitya naimitika, there are nitya karmas and naimitikas. Context-specific karmas, naimitikas, nityas you do every day. Anushtiya mananam, which you continue to do, you'll do in your life. Sarva karmanam, which means all the karmas. Atma sambaditaya is connected with you, you are doing it. Praptasya phalasya parityagaha, and you remove the akanksha, the aspiration or craving for results thereof. Sarva karma phalatyagaha, that is what. So what he's saying is, when you say sarva, what is added, it includes nitya, naimittika, and akamya. Prayaschitta can also be included in the kamya karmas because it's something you are aspiring for. So nitya, or you can put it in naimittika, but nitya, naimittika, kamya, prayaschitta included. So in all these karmas, phalatyaga will be called tyaga. Sarva karma phalatyaga. Tam prahu kathayanti. That is what is referred to as tyaga. Who? Tyaga sabdartham. Who? Vichakshanaha panditaha. Now there are two words for the same thing, what he refers to as pandita. One is kavi, the other one is vichakshana. But if you look at the specific differences, the kavi is one who is very sharp, but he's very well read. And he's a great, is a person of letters. He's so well exposed to the text. The vichakshana are people with great sense of judgment. They are also very smart and intelligent people. Okay, so that is minor difference, but more or less both are panditas. Yadi kamya karma parityagaha phala parityago ya arthaha vaktabhyah sarvada api tyaga matram sannyasa tyaga sabdayoho ek artho na ghatapata sabdau iva jatyantara bhutartho. But he's saying that if kamya karma phalatyagaha phala parityaga. So what is sannyasa? Kamya karma phalatyaga, if you say that. And then you are saying what? Phala parityaga. Ya artho vaktabhya. If you refer to that sannyasa and a karma phalatya and tyaga, sarvathapi tyaga matram, then actually you're referring to, forsaking, leaving behind sannyasa sabdayoho, and therefore sannyasa and tyaga sabda eka artha mean only one thing. Not like ghata and pata, like a piece of cloth and there is a certain jar or a pot. No. Iva jatyantara, two different classes of things. No, it will not mean that. No. Nitya naimitikanam karmanam phalam eva nasti. But the Mimamsaka philosophers say that the nitya and naimitika karmas, okay, like you will get up in the morning, you will offer water to the sun, you will take a bath in good clothes and do sandhya vandanam, gayatri or pranayam in the morning, right? So if you are saying this, there is no phala, that is what is mentioned. There is no phala. How will you do phala tyaga? So he's saying, Itiyaho katham uchyate tesam phala tyaga. Why are you saying you have to do phala tyaga? Phala is not even mentioned. Aap apna kapda phek do, but a person, that fellow doesn't have clothes. What will he throw? Yatha bandhyayaha putra tyagaha. Like you are asking for a woman to sort of give away her son. He's a barren woman. She has no children. She's a bandhya. She's a barren lady, no children. And she's not having children. How can she give away her child? That is stupid. If you have something, you can do tyaga. It's like give away all your wealth. And who is this guy? He's a bum. He's just moving on the streets looking for somebody to feed him. He cannot take sannyasa. He's already somebody on the streets. I mean, if you have something, if you have something you like, but here Nitya Namitika don't have any phalas. What do you mean by sarva karma phalatyaga? Naishu dosha. Bhagavan Shankaracharya is saying that's not a problem. I'll explain to you how. Nityanam api karmanam bhagavata phalavattvasya ishtatvat. Bhagavan has mentioned even earlier in Bhagavad Gita that if you do nitya karma, there is some phala. What is that? Antakarna shuddhi, purification. You can reduce your tamasic load if you wake up in the morning, early morning, and take a bath and wear good clothes and meditate or pray. You're going to get a lot of benefits. It's not without any results. Bhakshati Bhagavan Anishtam Ishtamiti Natu Sanyasinam iti cha. Sanyasinam eva hi kevalam karma phala asambandham darsayana asanyasinam nitya karma phala praptim bhavati atyaginam pretya iti darshayati. So Bhagavan has mentioned that even those who are not sannyasis, they do benefit from the nitya naimitika karma, and therefore phalatyaga and sannyasa are in a certain way paryaya vachi. That is what Shankaracharya says. But Madhusudana has a load of things to share with you, and I'm trying to see whether we can finish all that he has said. But I'll not be going into all the details because it's neither interesting nor useful right now. But then it's very, very scholastic. Kamyanam falakamanaya chodita choditanam antakarna suddhau anupayuktanam karmanam ishta pasu somadinam nyasam tyagam sannyasam viduhu jananti kavayaha sukshmadarshinaha kechi. Now he has added another interesting word to the word kavi. The kavi is somebody who is a sukshmadarshi. He has subtle eyesight. That means he can see even minor things. He's very sharp sighted, not because he has a real good eyesight. No, he's very sharp minded, intelligent. Biduhu jananti. Let's go back. Kamyanam falakamanaya, the kamya karmas. Then you have falakamana. You want the results because you are doing a kamya karma. Choditanam, and those karmas which are mentioned as kamya karma, like Agnihotra. So you want to go to Swarga, there is a Nitya karma which is Agnihotra, but there is also Kamya Agnihotra. So there are certain karmas, you can be both Nitya and a Kamya, if you do, depending on the Sankalpa. So if you do Nishkama Sankalpa, then it's not Kamya. If you're doing Sakama Sankalpa, it's Kamya. Choditanam. And then if you're doing Nishkama Sankalpa, like you're doing Chandi or you're doing a Durga Puja, why are you doing it? You're saying, no, I don't need anything. Devi Pityartham, I want it for the pleasure of my Divine Mother. That is Nishkama Karma. But do you think you don't benefit? No, you benefit much more. You get Antakarna Shuddhi, purification of your consciousness. Antakarna Suddho Anupayuktanam. Now, the person who is doing it, and he is Anupayuktanam Karmanam, and this, for this Antakarna Shuddhyartham Nishkama Karma, these Kamya Karmas are not eligible because they have some Sankalpa, some desire. And what are those? He's naming them. Ishti, that is one particular thing. Okay, there is Ishti where husband and wife and Jajaman and 4 priests, they'll do that particular. There is a Pasu Yaga, animal sacrifice will be Soma Yaga, and there are several kinds of Soma Yagas. He's right here. Agnishtoma, Atyagnishtoma, Uktya, Sodasi, Vajapaya, Atiratra, Aptur, Yama, and all these kinds of things are there in the Soma Yagas. Going to Swarga for this. Nyasam, that means Tyagam, Sannyasam, Viduhu, Jananti, Kavaiha, Sukshmadarshinaha. So these Kamya Karmas, which are not meant for purification of the Antakarana, because for that you do Nishkama Karma. These are Kamya Karmas. And you drop those activities, that is what is called sannyasa. Jagjena danena tapasa anasakena iti vakyena vedan vachana sabda upalakshitasya brahmachari dharmasya jagya dana sabdabhyam upalakshitasya gruhastha dharmasya. Let's go one by one. There is a sentence in Brihadaranyaka. To know this Brahman, Vedanuvachana, tam etam, that to know this Brahman. Vedanu Vachanena Brahmana Vividisanti. To know this, the Brahmanas try to know how, what is the means. Jagyena, Danena, Tapasa, Anasakena. Jagyena, they do rituals, fire rituals. Danena, donations. Tapasa, do a lot of austerities. Anasakena, sometimes they do fastings and stuff. All these things they do. Why? So, when they do anasakena, iti vakyena, Vedanu sabda upalakshitasya brahmachari dharmasya. So these Brahmins, what does it refer to? It's not talking about Grihastha, it's the brahmacharis who are sitting with their acharya studying the Upanishads. Yajna dana sabdabhyam upalakitasya. For Vedanu vachanena, that is what refers to the brahmachari. Yajna danena, the brahmacharis have no money. The grihasthas are doing work. They have families. They will do dana and yajna. That is for grihastha. Then what tapasa anasakena, that refers to the banaprasthis who have ended their marriage life. Husband, wife, they both go to forest or they kind of retire, take early retirement, have a small house somewhere, start studying Vedanta and start taking morning walks and do a bit of Shastra Adhyayana. A lot of people do that. Okay, so these are the things that for so all three categories of people, these Banaprasthis, Grihasthas, and Brahmacharis. Banaprastha dharmasya nityasya nityena hi papakhena. This through this nitya karmas papakhena dvarena atma jnanarthatvam bodhyate. Therefore, by doing these nitya karmas and these other, because they are kind of treated as nitya karmas as if they are doing like without any phala, they are using it for brahma jnana. They want to purify the anantakarana. Nacha viniyoga vairthyam. Now the whole question is, what is viniyoga? I mean, there's a technical word, okay? Let's deal with it. So you have viniyoga is actually a vidhi, a certain prescription in the Vedas. Now, this sentence is saying Jagyena Danena, Vedanu Vachanena, Jagyena Danena, Anasakena. That's what is meant, Tapasa Anasakena. And there's a viniyoga that people generally do it. Is it a useless sentence? Or it has some meaning? That is the challenge. How can Kamya Karma, Yajna Dana, be the cause of Atma Jnana? That is the problem. Kamya karmas will create karma bandhas because you have phala visandhi, you have desire for results. Bhagavan has said anything where you are craving for results, you will be bound up with that karma and its impact. But here, the Veda says that people do these things for self-knowledge. It's contradictory. Wherever you are saying Swarga Kama Yajeta means he wants to go to Swarga. And then you are saying that people do these kind of activities, including Jagya Dana for Atma Jnana. Because as a part of their aspiration for Atmajnana, there's a contradiction. There's a bit of confusion. How both can be possible? That is what is the main question. He'll speak a lot and he'll solve it like this. I'm telling you in advance. It's very simple. There is something called Utpati Vidhi. Utpati Vidhi is a general prescription for any activity. And then you have Adhikara Vidhis. So there is Adhikari means somebody who is aspiring for, like for example, let's imagine somebody is buying 2 kgs of purified butter, right? Purified butter is buying it. You should buy purified butter for the month of Kartik. It's an auspicious month. 2 people go to buy this butter. But one guy uses that butter to light the lamp in the temple. The other one fries a lot of puris and luchis and all kinds of sweets he makes. And the Adhikari Veda is there, one person using the same butter, getting different result. Purchase is same. But one person, in his case, that butter is used for preparing a lot of sweetmeat. In another person, the same butter is used for lighting a lamp. So this is Adhikari Veda, the purpose is different and the results are different. The person who uses it to produce sweetmeat, he enjoys the taste, he offers to God, he celebrates, he distributes in the neighborhood. The other one who lights a lamp sits there and meditates and reads. This is the beautiful difference. So when you don't have phala visandhi, that is the simplest way of putting it, and there's a lot of academic debate, we'll get into it. So if you are doing this jagya dana or anything, it's like you are lighting a lamp and you're sitting without any craving for results. You are essentially engaging in them for antakarna suddhi, and fine. then you will have greater aspiration for Brahma Jnana, you'll go to study Upanishads. If you are doing with the purpose of getting certain results, that becomes Kamya Karma, you will get those results. And with those results, you will get a bit of bondage, but that's fine because that's what you wanted. Maybe you are Rajasika, that's why you're doing it. But if you're doing it, the same Yajnadana, those who do it, Yastabhyam iti, just because it should be done, you're doing it without any craving for results. The same activity will give you different kind of a result. That is what he will explain after a long debate, quoting a lot of rules of interpretation in the Mimamsa philosophy, but we'll have to pass through it. Vaityam, it's not the Viniyoga thing is not false, not Vaityam. Jnanam utpadyate pungshang kshayat papasya karmanha iti anena eva labdhatvat iti vachyam. Somebody might say this Viniyoga yajnena danena tapasa anasakena vedana vasanena brahmana vividisanti. This is a stupid thing. What is the need? Because somewhere else it's mentioned Jnanam utpadyate pungshang kshayat papasya karmanha. Karma se kya hua? All jitne paap hai, negative results, when these are washed away, the knowledge will fructify on its own, it will immerse in our consciousness. The negative results are gone, the knowledge becomes self evident. So, why do these Jagyantana tapas? What is the need of it? He's explaining, no, that's not true. Which is natavachyam. Viniyoga abhave hi satyapi nitya karmanushane jnanam syadvana syad iti satitu viniyoge jnanam avesyam bhaved iti niyamarthatvat. Kahin pe bhi, the simple thing about the whole couple of lines is like this. If there is a Viniyoga, if there is no Viniyoga, there is no mention about this sentence. That there are certain Brahmins who try, Brahmins here is an aspirant. Let's not look at it in a limited cultural context. I keep saying this, that we are looking at a historical text. It may have meant a few things or may have been intended to carry a few meanings in a certain historical context. We are dealing with it in our context. And it's for us to make sense of it as appropriate to our socio-historical setting. So Brahmana or something, some people use it, say caste is this, that. It's a wastage of attention and time. Nothing substantive about that diversion, distraction. So he's saying generally the aspirants, by doing yajna, dana, tapas, in our context, it will mean good charity work, dedication in your professional work, and sharing your love and joy with everyone, all that, in a modern context. So this guy will have the purity in our heart to be interested in the ultimate secrets of life. That is what is conveyed here. Now what he's saying is, if the Vedas did not prescribe it, you may have a doubt whether doing these activities, will I have the desired light, luminosity in my heart, the desired lightness, the desired inner opening to study the Upanishads and meditate on the Atma. You may have some doubt. But there is a certain law which says, yes, some people try this to get self-knowledge. You have no doubt. Therefore, this Bini Yoga is not completely futile. That is the simple thing which is being conveyed here. Jnanam avasyam bhavet. Definitely jnana will happen, and therefore paap khe hone se jnana ho jayega. It is written somewhere else. But here this Bini Yoga kind of makes it very certain for you that if you do nishkama, nishkama bhavana, if you do these karmas, you will definitely have the inner opening for jnana. Tasmad nitya karmanam eva vedane vividisayam cha viniyogat sattva suddhi vividisa utpati purvaka vedarthina nityan eva karmani bhagavat arpana buddhya anusthayani kamyani to sarvani safalani parityajyani iti ekam matam. So some people, there are two views and interpretations he's explaining. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sanyasam kavayoho vidu, he's saying. So what he's saying is that one category of interpreters or philosophers or scholars say that the guys who are Vividisa sannyasis, they want to know about the Atma, the Brahman or anything. So you should do what kind of karmas? Only Nitya karmas. And all Kamya karmas should be dumped. They are tajya. So the interpretation which I was giving just before, that even a kamya karma without purpose for results, without craving for results, can be a cause for enlightenment or desire for enlightenment, is not appropriate. Only you should do nitya karmas for self purification. Ishwar arpana vidya. What does it mean? That as a traditional Brahmin, dump all the rituals that you're doing. You just do Sandhya Vandanam, get up early morning, change your clothes, do your pranayama and prayers, and rest of the time study Upanishads. But we'll look at the other interpretation. That's the first interpretation, that you should dump all activities except for the Nitya karmas. You should do those daily rituals that you're doing. Don't do anything else. Don't waste your time and attention. The second one, aparam matam, sarva karma phalatyagam prahustyagam vichakshanaha. The other thing is, no, you have to renounce phalatyaga in all karmas. What does it mean? He didn't say sarva karma tyaga. Please look at the semantics, the language. Sarva karma tyaga, no. Sarva karma phalatyaga means, how can you do sarva karma phalatyaga without doing sarva karma? You can do sarva karma phalatyaga if you are doing sarva karma. So it's sarva karmas can be done even for Vividisa sannyasis. Vedanuvachanena jagena danena tapasa anasakena. That means all karmas can be done. Only removal of the craving for results have to be taken care of. That is what is tyaga he's saying. Vichakshana sarvesam kamyanam nityanam cha pratipadokta. Separately is mentioned the results. Pratipadokta phalatyagam. So kamya karma, you'll go to swarga. Nitya karma, antakarana suddhi. These are all mentioned. So you do tyaga of all these phalas. Desire for swarga, desire for sun, desire for money, desire for wealth. Dump them one by one. Pratipadokta, the way separately the results are mentioned. Don't crave for them. Don't look for them. Sattva suddhyartha suddhya arthitaya vividisa sanyoga vividisa sanyogena anushtana vichakshana vichara kushalaha tyagam prahu. That is what is called tyaga or renunciation. Khadiro yopo bhavati. Now he is going to semantics and the Mimamsa rules. So don't get irritated. Interesting stuff. Khadiro yupo bhavati, khadiram virya kamasya yupam karoti. Now this khadira sabda, there's a certain plant called khadira plant. And you use it as a stump for animal sacrifice in certain Vedic rituals. Now they are saying two things. That khadira is generally used for this purpose, for as a wood, which is used for the yajna. There's a particular stump. It's used for that purpose, where the animal will be tied. And then he's saying, Khadiram virya kamasya yupam karoti. The person who is using it for yupa is the guy who wants to be very powerful. He's virya kama. Virya is not semen here. He wants to have a lot of power and energy. He wants to be a powerful king. So he uses khadira. So there are two phalas. One is that it's used generally for having it as a stump for tying the animals. The other one is that if you use it, you are getting a special result. So if you have that special result in mind, you can also do it. There are kamya, there is a vishesa phala, and there is a samanya thing. And both these things are there. Therefore, he's saying, ityatra yatha ekasya khadiratvasya, that khadiratva vishishta kasta is used as a yupa. That's what he's saying. Khadiratvasya kratu prakarana pathat phala sanyogatsya. Phala sanyoga is what? Virya kama. That fellow will get special results. And then you are connecting with the performance of the ritual. Pratvarthatvam, it's for the yajna. You need it as a yupa. Purusarthatvam, you will get that, virya briddhi in you by using that particular thing. There are two results. One is purushartha for you, another is katvartha, that for yajna. You need some wood for fire rituals. But if you use a certain wood, you're going to get, heightened energy in you. So this is Purushartha. The other one is Yajnartha or Katvartha. That is for that particular result, that particular activity. Okay? Ityatra Tatekasya, then both Kratvartha and Purushartha cha pramana bheda tatha agni hotra isti pasu somanam sarvesam api satapatha patitanam. In Satapatha Brahmana, there are a lot of yajnas are mentioned. Soma Yaga, Isti, and all that. Pasu, Soma, all that is mentioning. He's saying, Swa Utpati Vidhi Siddhanam. So there are So Utpati Vidhi. There's a mention. Agnihotram Juhati, Utpati Vidhi. Whatever is not Prapta, Apraptasya, there is a mention. Okay? Karma Swarupa Matra Bodhaka Vidhi Utpatti Vidhi. He just mentioned about what is that karma one has to do. And this Utpatti Vidhi also becomes a special answer to certain special requirements. So, Sarvesam api Satapata Pathitanam Swa Utpatti Vidhi Sattanam. They are Utpatti Vidhis. That means they are just telling about karmas. Tat Tat Phala Sanyoga, and there are specific results attached to them. Pratyeka Vakyena, and there are specific statements in Vedas. Vividisa Sanyogasya Jagyade Vakyena Kriyate iti Upapannam Ekasya tu Ubhayatve Sanyak Prathakvam iti Nyaya Taduktam Sankhep Saririke. So he's doing a lot of hair splitting. You should not get irritated. It's very simple. What is there is another interesting thing, and these things are these are techniques of interpretation. There's something called sanyoga prataktva. Two things are appearing from one sentence, right? And it is also there in our uses. And this will be something which a computer scientist should be interested in. You're doing coding, a particular code is done, but it can give you a special result in a certain context, and generally you are doing it. But there is a particular case in which, if you have another two codes, it will give you a different result. It's exactly like that. Sanyoga prataktvam. So, ekasya tu ubhayatve sanyoga prataktvam. So it gets connected and it's separated, it gives another result. So the same yajna, the matter is like the same yajna is generally done as a kamya karma to go to Swarga and this and that. But if you are not doing it for any specific result, you are linking the performance of the yajna, that ritual, with antakarna suddhi and interest in Vedanta Sravana and yajnana danena tapasa vividhi santi, that particular sentence. In that context, the yajna gives you a special effect of aspiration for Atmagyana, the Prakarana, which requires a bit of, that Antakarana Shuddhi can be possible by the rituals. And then he's quoting for Sanchepa Sararika. I'll just be reading it because we're following the process. Oh my God, we have crossed the time, so I'll stop here. We will do the rest tomorrow. I'm sorry for overstepping in terms of time. Thanks for listening. Okay, so